that, welcome into another edition of Monday Night Quarterback. Matt Moro alongside Kristian O'Hara, and we're pleased to be joined, as we are every week, with Fordham football head coach Joe Moorhead. Coach, thanks for joining us again.
1 week hiatus. Great to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a lot to catch up on. Huge win this weekend against Bucknell at home. It was family weekend. It was senior day. You get the 8-point victory, 24-16. Let's just quickly talk about the atmosphere of this game against Bucknell. It is the last home game coming in, and for the seniors, there's not a ton that start on this team, and there's so much turnover. We've talked about the underclassmen, but how important was it to come out with a good performance for all the seniors who have been here for 4 years and given everything they have to this program?
No, it was tremendous for those guys, and we made that a point of emphasis throughout the week, that these guys were our first true recruiting class, and they believed in the vision of our program and were able to make it happen, and all the things that they've accomplished on the field and off the field to be able to get a win in their final regular season home game and, cap off a great career at Jack Coffey Field. It was awesome.
Coach, in particular, Stephen Hodge, a guy, who's been through a lot. What do you think it meant to him to get a win in quite possibly his last home game at Jack Coffey?
Meant a lot. He's gone through a lot coming here as a, unrecruited walk-on wide receiver, transitioning to safety, and then eventually getting moved to linebacker and becoming an All-American, and obviously suffering through a terrible injury last year and missing that season, and be able to bounce back and do the things he's done. He's the personification of grit and character and hard work, and two-time captain. He's just everything that's right about college football.
Let's get into the game. And so you're coming off your first Patriot League loss of the season, and things get a little more tricky for you to win the league. Not anymore is it in your own destiny, but you guys have to just win, and you have to worry about your own games. Was that something that was difficult to convey to the team, or was it said right away and understood right away that we can't do a lot of scoreboard watching? We just have a big matchup with Bucknell this week. We got 2 games left. We got to take care of our business.
No, yeah, it was very matter of fact, and we had our opportunity because Lehigh beat Georgetown, and had we beaten Colgate, the Bucknell win could have clinched the league for us. But as we tell the guys last week, doesn't matter this week. Control what we can control, and that's how well we played against Bucknell. And we were fortunate to get the win, and now we have to continue to control what we can control. That's how well we prepare for Georgetown and how well we play in the game, and hopefully get the win and let the chips fall where they may. Because quite frankly, there's a couple of scenarios that play out where we can win the league, but if we don't, we finish at 9-2, and we're not selected as an at-large bid for the playoffs. So I think it'll be a crime.
I agree with that. Transitioning, Coach, to your leader on offense, Kevin Anderson. How do you think, can you assess his performance in terms of his poise? And, he did have a couple turnovers, but from my perspective in the booth, I thought he did a good job leading the offense when it mattered most.
Yeah, very, very good job. And Kevin continues to grow and progress, and, Coach Bronner, has done a great job developing our quarterbacks, throughout our time here. But the big thing for the past 2 weeks is, when our running game hasn't necessarily been able to, get moving at the level that we're used to, that, the pass game has carried the offense. And, once again, Kevin made some critical throws, threw for almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and one, it should have been a touchdown that was called back. And, one kind of egregious interception and one that ended up turning into being a punt on a third and long. But, yeah, he continues to get better every week. And he's on top of the Patriot League and then top of the country in a bunch of statistical categories. And, most importantly, he's found a way to lead our team to wins, making explosive plays and limiting turnovers.
One of the touchdowns that he threw on Saturday was to your senior tight end, Faison Odom. Let's take a listen to that play from Saturday.
3rd and goal from the 5 for Fordham. In Bucknell territory, Allen wide left. Here's the snap in the shotgun, looking over the middle. Faison Odom, his first catch of the day on senior day, is a touchdown to give Fordham their first lead. He brings it down in the back of the end zone. 11:20 left in the third quarter. Rams up 6, 16-10.
So the game had been a bit back and forth throughout the first half. Now you take the lead here at this point with the throw to Faison in the back of the end zone. What has the relationship been like with Kevin and Faison? Faison his real first year as a starter this year at tight end, and Kevin his first year as a starter at quarterback. When those two were able to click, how important is that for the offense?
I think it's critically important. I think Kevin and Faison have developed a good understanding of Faison's ability to get open, particularly in the red zone, and you see that we target him down there, and you get a 6'7" guy matched up on a guy that's a lot shorter than him, with his ability to run routes and catch the ball, and that's what we ran down on the goal line. We throw a lot of swing passes out to Chase. We pump fake the swing and, got Faison matched up one-on-one, and you really just have to throw it to a spot where only he can get it, and that happened on that play, and then on the other one it got called back. But I think Faison's become a great weapon for us and for Kevin, and particularly so in the red zone area.
Now, Coach, you scored a couple of those touchdowns on play action. Obviously, needing a good running game to set up that play action. It hasn't been there necessarily in these, crazy numbers we've seen, throughout the whole season. But for you personally, how important is it as a play caller to kind of just stick with it even though things aren't going your way?
No, you have to. And we've talked about it, a lot of times this year that our offense is centered upon our ability to run the football successfully. And even in situations like these, it's not as much the production as the threat of run.
Right.
And there's a reason why, Chase has been, held below his normal numbers. That's because they're crowding the box, either through extra defenders or through pressures. And when you're doing that, you're creating matchups on the perimeter. And, we've been able to exploit those in the pass game. We've thrown for over 300 and close to 300. And, Chase's the O-line and the backs, and they're working hard to get the yards. He just played two of the top run defenses in the league and in the country. So, heck, even Fournette got held, I think, below 50. You go up against a tough rush defense,
right.
It's not always going to be 200 yards, and you're going to have to find other ways to compensate. And, that's what I like about the diversity of our offense, that if one aspect of it or one person's getting shutting down, we have a bunch of other people that we can go to make plays.
Your offense has been one of the best in the FCS for years now, and we always speak about it each week just because it is so good. We always have so many things to talk about. But the defense was so instrumental in this win on Saturday. We're going to talk to George Dawson, one of your linebackers. We're going to talk to co-defensive coordinator Tim Cary about it. But what did you like about the defense this week after stepping up a bit in the second half against Colgate, but it was too little too late to come back in that game? The response this week against Bucknell, what did you like out of your defensive group?
First and foremost, I like the mentality that we played with. I thought the guys were enthusiastic. They were energetic. Throughout the week in practice and during the course of the game. The blitzes, they went harder. Our run fits were better, after the first quarter. You saw the guys playing around, and we talked about, winning the physical one-on-one battles in this game, and it meaning more to the defense to tackle the ball carrier or cover him than it meant for the line to block or the receiver to get open. And I thought they answered the bell. And in a season, we know how well the defense is capable of playing, and I thought it was great to see them get back to producing at a level that we had seen earlier in the season. And really, I gave them the game ball because they earned it. And, George was Patriot League Defense Player of the Week, won National Player of the Week defensively, had an awesome performance, and, everyone on defense stepped up. So it was I couldn't be more excited with how the defense played this week.
About George, what makes him so special as a linebacker for you guys that he can go out and make those kinds of plays?
He's intelligent, and he's athletic, and he's physical. George gets everyone lined up, gets the calls communicated. And for a linebacker, he's not an overly big guy, but he moves around very well and knows how to navigate blocks and when to take on blockers, when to run around them, and kind of possesses that hybrid ability where he can play the run like a backer and play the pass like a D-back. So the transition from Sam to Will has gone very well.
Coach, in terms of individual performances, I know you needed to keep an eye on Will Carter. They're a big receiver. How do you think that the defense did a good job? He made a couple plays, but overall, not too many game breakers, if you will.
No, if you take away the one, you can't do that because it happened. But
right.
The one pass he caught that was down the sideline was a tip ball. And, I don't think anyone could have anticipated that. But Coach Hooley and Coach Cary and the guys put together a good game plan. And we have a saying on both sides of the ball: you can't let the game wreckers wreck the game. And we said if they're going to beat us, it's not going to be Will Carter doing it. They're going to have to find another way to do it. And I think for the most part, he's definitely the most explosive wide receiver in the league, and he's a great player. But I thought if you find a way to contain him, it would give us a chance to win, and it happened.
We're going to have you back on to take a look ahead to the Georgetown matchup, the final regular season game. But one of the last things I want to ask you about this Bucknell game, who were some of the guys that you saw that maybe didn't get the recognition or stand out on the stat sheet that were instrumental in this win on Saturday?
The offensive line usually doesn't ever get mentioned unless they're doing something poorly. So I think offensively, our offensive line did a good job. And throughout the whole year, I think, a group that's been a little bit overlooked, I guess if you can say that, is, the wide receiver group. That there hasn't been one guy with the standout numbers of a Tabucky, a Sam, or a Brian. Mm-hmm. But when you look at how those guys have done it by committee, we're one of the top passing offenses in the country. and have like 6 guys with 30 catches. So you look at Jonathan Lumley and Ben Johnson at the X, who combined for, over 100 yards passing and a touchdown. The 2, young guys in the slot, and then, Jordan Allen, 3 catches for 98 yards is another true freshman. I don't know that there's many other people in the country playing with, 3 true freshmen at receiver. And then defensively, I mean, all the guys up front. I mean, you could put J.Q. Bowers had a great game on the back end. Jihad Pretlow, covered, Carter very well. Nico. I mean, all those guys. Justin Vaughn. Manny Edieye, Brandon Weir, Ty Green, who normally doesn't get in a bunch. I mean, and all those guys did a great job.
He's Coach Moorhead of the Fordham football team after their 8-point victory over Bucknell on Saturday. We're going to have Coach Moorhead back to take a look ahead to the Georgetown game later on in the show. All right, time to go at the X's and O's. We're bringing in one of the coaches from the Fordham football staff, and this week it's co-defensive coordinator and defensive backs coach Tim Cary. Coach, thanks for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
So the defense this week, we spoke about it with Coach Moorhead, certainly stepped up. Was there a challenge that you guys gave to the defense after the last couple of weeks and said, guys, we're going to need you to step up in this game against Bucknell?
Yeah, I think, Coach laid out the first challenge, and, obviously he has an expectation for our guys from what he's seen and he thinks that they can achieve. And, then us as coaches kind of echoed that, through to our guys. And certainly we expect them to play at a much higher level than we have leading into this game. And, it's been, unfortunate the way that we've played. And they really responded to that. And, we made a few tweaks here and there, but really it's, more about, them playing with confidence and effort and those things.
Now, Coach, kind of going chronologically here throughout the game, in the first quarter, Del Moro was able to have success, up the middle runs. For you, mentally, was it like, oh, man, here we go again, or just stick with the process, kind of grit it out here?
I think, that a lot of that stuff was coming in some things. We were doing some things to stop Will Carter. And
right.
so we were, we kind of knew that we might be a little bit weaker there versus the run. Our guys hadn't been used to seeing those fits and the exact calls we were in, so we kind of wanted to just stick with it. And, hey, we've seen them now. Okay, hey, this is how we need to fit them. And they did a great job making those adjustments on the sideline and then coming back and really doing a great job stuffing the run out of the same things.
Did you fully expect your team to be able to make those adjustments once you saw the numbers start to pile up early on? Because late in this game, they certainly did not have the same rushing success in that second half when you really shut them down.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, every situation is a little different. I think this one was just kind of guys were kind of almost in the right place, but they weren't quite. And when you're doing so much to stop one guy, that can really leave a lot of holes in the defense. You don't have a real safety net there. So we kind of knew that they were on the right track. We just kind of had to make a few tweaks with them.
Coach, how important was that play by Marlin to get the strip sack of Nitty?
Oh, I mean, that was an unbelievable play. We were kind of, locked in a real tight game at that point, and we felt like we were playing good, but to turn the game and give good field position like that, that even re-energized our guys, because you're going through the monotony of a game and it's a stop, and they're kind of doing the same thing, and I think that really got our guys ready to go and juiced them up.
You are also the defensive backs coach, not just the co-defensive coordinator. So this is kind of for, a general look at the D and for the D-backs as well. Nitty's a little bit different than some of the running quarterbacks that, most of this league uses. He's a guy who will stay in the pocket, hold on to the ball a long time. We saw that with Marlon strip sack. Do you have to play him any differently than some of these other guys who are able to use their legs a little bit more and just simply he's holding on to the ball more? Do you have to say to the defensive backs, hey, you guys might have to hold on a little longer because he's going to keep his eyes downfield for a long time?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, every quarterback we face has different ways they handle pressure and rush and different things that they do, and we work on different things throughout the week. If a guy's a scramble with his eyes down the field guy, then we've got to obviously harp on staying on our guys and staying on our man. And he was certainly one of those guys, even though he's not a real, agile guy, but he's a big, strong kid that can kind of stand in there and might be able to shake off a guy and buy a little time. So certainly something that we harped on with our guys.
Coach, from your perspective, how does having guys like Lorenzo Smith and J.Q. Bowers back there help out some of the younger guys who have had to step up so far this season?
I mean, I think it's invaluable because without those guys, those young guys have nobody to to mentor them and to show them the way, really. So I think having those guys that have been through our program, that know our system, that can do some of the things in and very easily, that really helps those guys. And those guys are great on the sideline, helping those guys, coaching up the young guys when they come off the field if they're in there for plays and things like that. And obviously having that veteran presence helps us get lined up, helps us get in the right calls and all those things, and it allows us to be a little bit more multiple on defense than you would be if you didn't have some older guys to help out those young guys.
Even though he's a guy who doesn't have a lot of experience in your system, he's certainly a veteran. Jihad Pretlow, what has he brought from the FBS experience to help out the rest of the group?
I think Jihad has really brought a different mentality to our secondary, just in terms of he's just a great competitor, and he's a great tackler. And, you see that in and out. And, he's much different than Ian Williams, who we had over there. But, some of the things that he doesn't do maybe as well as Ian did, he does some other things really well and, provides a physical presence there into the boundary. And not to say that Ian wasn't, but, Jihad was a, safety at tempo, and he kind of brings that mentality over there, which can really help. And it's great for the run and the pass.
What unique challenges do the Georgetown receivers present to you guys?
I think they're a team that likes to spread the ball around the field. They like to spread out the field. So anytime that you get that, you're dealing with one-on-one matchups in space. So,
right.
Our guys have to do a great job of understanding sets and what to expect, in certain formations, and then obviously knowing where their help is and how to utilize that throughout the game.
Coach Moorhead, spoke about, we'll talk to him about the Georgetown game, and when we talk to him about them, there's something we have to look at is that they are an improved team, and so there's not that there ever has been, but no easy wins in this league. It's a tough, competitive league, and it is the final game of the season. So, in the regular season at least, how big is it, and you described this last game and effort from the defense as a game that can give them confidence. How important is it to have that confident effort going into this final game with so much riding on it, with the Patriot League title at stake, keeping a win alive and your hopes alive for the FCS playoffs?
Now, from a defensive perspective, it's probably the most important element of the game for our guys. I think, like you said, this is a much improved team. This is a team that's had success. They found success against everybody that they've played for the most part. They may not have been able to sustain it, but we're looking at these guys and saying, we better do a really good job if we want to have a chance in this game. So I think that our guys playing with confidence, playing fast, and playing physical are probably the keys to us being successful on defense in this game. Without that, I don't know that we have we won't have a great chance.
Do you go into a game, particularly this one against a spread offense, like, look, we need to, create 3 turnovers this week, or is it more just doing your job, kind of, and the breaks will come?
We always want to create turnovers, and we have our goals with that, and certainly 3 turnovers would be great.
Right.
But we're probably looking at this game. We'd love to get some turnovers, but we're looking at things we need to stop, specific things that they're doing that maybe we have some weaknesses in.
Matchup-wise.
Exactly. So that's probably more of our approach than necessarily 3 turnovers with these guys, because they do a great job game planning and kind of getting themselves into some good calls. But we certainly want to be able to attack them and get them behind the sticks. Put them into 2nd and 3rd and long situations.
Right.
So I guess from that perspective, in terms of going in with a particular game plan, we're kind of looking at saying, hey, we can't let these guys be in 3rd and medium, 3rd and shorts. They're tough to stop there.
Right.
For you and Coach Hooley, your co-defensive coordinator, who have been the most important leaders for this defensive group, and who are some of the guys who have stepped up that you didn't think or didn't necessarily expect to be big leaders but have come to be that at this point of the season?
I think guys that have been, obviously the most important leaders, obviously, guys, our captains, Stephen Hodge and George Dawson have been great leaders for us. And, older guys like Marlon Crook and Justin Vaughn have been great leaders for us. Those guys I think we expected, and we've gotten what we expected out of them. I think some guys that have been good leaders that we, I guess, probably didn't see coming, a guy like Nico Thorpe. He's really provides a spark to our defense and has been a great vocal leader for us. Jihad Pretlow, who you guys mentioned before, has been a leader for our guys. And like you said, he's not necessarily new. He's new to us. And those guys I think have stood out above and beyond as guys that have stepped up as leaders. And there's been spots where J.Q. Bowers and Manny Edier have done some great things, but Nico and Jihad have stood out to me.
Coach, what do you see out of Noah Fitzgerald that you like on defense?
You know what? He's a great young linebacker. He's very athletic. He plays fast and instinctual. I think that he has a really, really bright future. And, obviously we're working in some packages now to get him on the field and try to utilize some of the skills that he has right now. But we're excited about, the way he moves around, the way he reacts inside the box, and the stuff that he can bring rushing the passer as well.
And lastly, the last game against Bucknell, it was the final home game of the regular season, so it was senior day on family weekend. J.Q. Bowers, a senior. Stephen Hodge has been through so much, a graduate student. What did it mean to see the upperclassmen, the seniors, play their final regular season home game here, and how much they've meant to this program in the last few years?
Oh, I mean, you can't even describe it. I don't think any of the coaches would have let any of these younger underclassmen even show up on Sunday if they let these guys walk out of here with a loss. I mean, these guys, mean so much to the program, and I think, a lot of us coaches have been around these guys for a long time, and they mean a lot to us. So it was really awesome. It was a special feeling to see those guys be able to walk out, with a great win like that, and, all the guys had family there to support them, and, it was just a really, really nice day, and exactly what you're looking for on a senior day.
He's co-defensive coordinator and defensive backs coach Tim Cary, looking at the X's and O's with us, Coach. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Matt Moro alongside Kristian O'Hara back here on Monday Night Quarterback as we go inside the huddle with a couple of the key players in Saturday's win over the Bucknell Bison for the Fordham Rams. We have linebacker George Dawson and receiver Jonathan Lumley. Guys, thanks so much for joining us on Monday Night Quarterback.
Thanks for having us. Thank you for having us.
All right, George, got to start with you because not only were you the Patriot League Defensive Player of the Week this week, you were the FCS Defensive National Player of the Week. What did it feel like to hear that news and to be recognized for your play this weekend like that?
I mean, getting the news that I was Patriot League Player of the Week was exciting because this is probably the first time that I've ever had it in my career. But then getting the news that I also won National Player of the Week was just like, wow, I actually did it. And it's something I've been working for just to get recognized nationally eventually. But I've just been playing hard this season, and the stats just piled up this game. So I was just really thankful.
How important was it to do it in front of your family and friends?
It was really exciting. I know they're probably my biggest supporters out there, and I know they want the best for me and everything that I do. They know how much work I put in and how hard I play the game, so just to have that was kind of like satisfaction to see that all my hard work is playing off. So it was really exciting.
Jonathan, George has been here for a few years, so he's known the atmosphere of Jack Coffey Field and the winning tradition of Fordham football the last couple of years. Now that we're getting near the end of the season, for you as a freshman coming in, what has this experience been like for you to step in to a winning program and then get a real nice crowd this weekend on Saturday with both Senior Day and Family Weekend at Jack Coffey?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great environment out there. There's a ton of people out there. Some coming from where I played football. It was a lot of people, something to get used to. I think that was the most people we've had this whole season. So, I mean, it was a great, fun atmosphere. It wasn't anything too crazy, nothing to be scared of out there. And, I mean, just coming in here as a freshman is exciting. It's different. It's a lot of work, but it's nothing to shy away from. It's you got older guys like GD to look up to, guys on the receiving corps, Ben Johnson, Tony, Robbie Cantelli. So it's nothing crazy. You don't feel like you're out of it, that you have guys that got your back, so it's nice.
Now, Jonathan, you had a great game on Saturday. Did you expect that you were going to play this much coming into the season? I know you've had to step in for guys, obviously there was the turnover, going into camp, and then guys got hurt. Unfortunately, Robbie's out for the year. Did you expect that you would make this much of an impact this early on?
No, not at all. I knew throughout my whole recruiting process that there was Sam, Tabucky, all those guys that were graduating, and I knew coming in there was going to be competition, but I definitely didn't think it was going to be like this because, you got guys that can ball out like crazy, like Ben Johnson, Tony Patrinelli, Robbie Cantelli, Jorge Solano when he comes back. But, I mean, I definitely was not expecting this at all.
You definitely have contributed all season long, but in this game you got the first score. Let's take a listen to your touchdown from early in this ball game.
Slot. Odom tight end left side. Here's the shotgun snap. Play fake to Edmonds. Now looking over the middle. Lumley comes down with it back of the end zone. Touchdown Rams. They're an extra point away from tying with 2:46 left in the first quarter. It's Bison 7, Rams 6.
So a couple things I'd love to go over with you about this play, Jonathan. It's the first score of the game for you guys. You guys have been down 7-0. What's it like to get on the board like that, to make sure the team gets back into the game like that? And for you, what's it been like to work with Kevin Anderson, who I mean, talking with coaches sometimes, it's hard for me to remember that he's a first-year quarterback because he's played so well this season.
Exactly. It definitely felt good. It definitely feels good to know that your teammates appreciated that. I mean, it was exciting to be able to tie the game up. I think it was a needed score. I think it added a little bit of a energy boost to our whole team. I mean, if it was anyone, it would have been the same thing. But it definitely felt good to be able to help my team get back into the position to really get some energy, put the defense out there so they can get another stop, just get this game rolling, And working with Kev has been crazy. I mean, like you said, he's a first-year starter, and I think people forget that. Just he's out there learning just as much as me or Austin or Faison. He's a first-year starter too. So I mean, it's definitely a learning experience for all of us, and that's something that's nice because we're all going through it together.
Now, George, you and the defense played spectacular in this one. The offense had to come in and tie this game early on, but you guys were strong throughout this contest, and it gets down toward the end, and this is a one-point game after they almost tie it up. They get the touchdown to go 1 point away, but they go for two, and you have a couple of huge back-to-back plays. Let's listen to those back-to-back game-changing plays that you had in this game.
1:44 left in the fourth quarter. Bucknell is going for the win here. They'd have to stop Fordham if they convert. They do have 2 timeouts to try and get the ball back if they don't succeed. Fordham 17, Bucknell 16. And they're going with a bit of a trickery formation. Nobody on the line right under center. It's only Nitty under center. 5 linemen on the left side, 2 on the right. Nitty is going to throw it right into the end zone, and it's picked off. The trick play does not work for the Bison. George Dawson with the interception in the end zone on the 2-point conversion try. John Burdick, who lost his starting kicking job, is going to do the onside kicking duties here. 6 players on the near left side for Bucknell, 4 behind Burdick on the far right side. He's going to kick it here to the near left side. It goes 10 yards right into the arms of George Dawson, waiting for it for Fordham.
A huge turn of events there. They come down, they score under 2 minutes left, but then they go for 2. A lot to dissect there for you. So what's the thought process for you and the rest of your defensive teammates when they come out? They're going for 2. Did you expect that? Did you see it coming? And then what's the mindset of a guy on the hands team then for the onside kick when it's coming right to you and you can really put an end to this game as long as you recover that one?
As far as the 2-point conversion goes, we practiced them lining up in that formation throughout the week, so we were pretty calm when they came out of it. And I pretty much expected them to go for 2. I feel like Bucknell's been playing us tough for the last couple of years as far as I've been here. So I knew they were going to try to do something to kind of change the game and get the momentum back in their favor. And I felt like going for 2 probably would have did that for them. So I was expecting them to go for 2. And then once they came out, all week we've been practicing them rolling out the way they did and throwing it to one of the receivers that the side they rolled out to. But they never really practiced them releasing the back. So when he rolled out, I was kind of just sitting back playing it just in case he came back this way. And then I saw the back release. And once he threw it, I was just like, oh, the ball's in the air. Like, it's time to make a play. And I just went and got it. And that was probably one of the biggest plays I've made in my career here so far. And then going on to the onside kick, I mean, I've been on the hands team for the past 2 years. And we've practiced fielding onside kicks. I play around with Red, like before walkthroughs on Fridays, catching onside kicks and stuff, just in case the event comes up. And then it came up Saturday. So I felt like I was ready. Once the ball just started rolling, I was like, all right, it's coming to me. It's time to do what I practiced doing and make another play for the team. And once I recovered it and got down, I was just like, all right, we got this one now. So it was just a kind of sigh of relief after that. So it was all good.
Now, Jonathan, this one's for you. Georgia said his preparation basically led to those 2 plays. How did your preparation, kind of week to week here progress through the season? And then specifically for the Bucknell game, how did that lead you to have such a big performance?
I think the coaches really they challenged us, especially this week, to just have a great week of practice. Sometimes we'll have a great practice one day, have a couple of MAs the next day, and then work our way back up before the game. So I think this week they challenged all of us, not just me specifically, to just have a full, thorough, really, really good practice. And the intensity was definitely up, especially after Colgate. I think that was a whole team mentality, no more messing around.
Right.
We got to get this stuff right. Let the seniors leave here and keep playing, obviously, in the postseason. And then throughout, since I've been here, I mean, I think over time, not just me, but also all the wide receivers, practice has just become better and better. I mean, you're coming in not knowing anything, not not knowing any of the plays, but just over time, just becoming more and more comfortable in the system. Mm-hmm. So I mean, over time, it's been great.
For both of you guys, George, we'll start with you. You have different perspectives from the defense and the offense of, what the players felt coming into this game, coming off that first Patriot League loss. So what was the mentality of your teammates coming into this game? How much of a message did you even need for the coaches? How mentally prepared were you after trying to rebound from that loss?
The coaches did a great job of kind of instilling the intensity that we needed to go into this game with, but I know I can speak for the defense on this. Like, we came in from the last couple weeks that we've played big games, giving up a bunch of points the last couple games. We've definitely had a chip on our shoulder for a long time, and we felt like it was time that we put our foot down and kind of set the tone for the team and let them know, like, we've been playing really bad the last couple weeks, but we're going to come back and step up, especially since it's late in the season. We need every win we can get. So, I mean, we just came out with a different type of intensity and passion that this past Saturday. So, I mean, we were just out there flying around, and we knew what we had to do to get the job done, and we just went out there and did it. We really bonded together throughout this last week preparation, and we just came together as a defense and finally played type of football we've been used to playing and that we're capable of playing for the rest of the year.
What GD said too, I mean, some people would say that some people view it as like the defense has been messing up, the offense like holding us back, but also in Coor, I mean, we missed a ton of opportunities to score. I mean, just lacking mental focus, stuff like that, dropping balls, MAs, missed adjustments, stuff like that. So it was just as much the offense's fault as much as defense. Like, everyone was just off that day. And I think going into that week, I mean, the coaches really put it on us to, let's have a great week of practice. Let's turn this stuff up. I mean, we had a team meeting before the week started, just saying, it's not over. I mean, we got to keep going. We got to win these games. We're trying to play in the postseason. We're trying to win a national championship. So I mean, I think everyone was just on the same page. And when you got everyone on the same page, it's hard to not have a good week of practice.
Right. How important is it to build off that win? Kind of coming in here, you guys don't necessarily control your own destiny, but Coach Moorhead was preaching control what you can control. And so how important is that to put everything, all the outside noise behind you and just focus on the singular game?
I feel like that's how we've been for pretty much this entire season. We don't really focus on what's going on like around the league or around the country. We kind of focus on just one at a time, like Coach Moorhead talks about all the time. So I feel like just getting that win kind of gave us a little bit of reassurance, like we can still do this thing. So, I mean, we're just going to keep playing hard and go down to Georgetown and see what we can do, and hopefully everything falls where they need to fall for us to get into the postseason and for us to make a push. But, I mean, we don't really concern ourselves with, like, all of the outside noise and everything that's going on, because we know outside of our team and our fan base, there aren't many people that actually believe we're capable of doing the things that we were capable of doing this year. So I feel like just us being together as a team and not really focus on everything else kind of drove us to the point where we're at right now. And we're at a really good place right now. I feel like we're going to go into the next couple of games playing our best football, so we should be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good going into this week, having a game like that, great team win like that. Coach always talks about earn the right to win. So, I mean, this week, there's no point in, being distracted or worrying about stuff that you can't control. Just keep going. Just focus on having a good practice. I mean, you got to earn the right to win. You got to prepare. You got to execute. You got to have good effort. So that's what we're going to go out there and do.
George, to finish up with you, as a captain this season, and there's been so many new guys like Jonathan who have had to come in and step up as underclassmen, but a large part of that, and the coaches talk about this all the time, is that you guys as a leadership core, the upperclassmen, have done a nice job of keeping things steady. How much has that been on your mind this season as a captain, that not only do you have to produce on the field, but you have to be that example, the leader for the younger guys who have looked up to you, who have been to the playoffs 2 straight years and trying to go back now at the end of the season? They can look at guys like you who have said, we've been there, we've done it, and this is how we're going to get there.
I think it's tough coming in with a whole new group of guys, especially the amount of young guys we have on the team. It's tough to kind of get everybody pulling in the same direction, because on a team full of 90-plus kids, everyone's going to have their own agenda. So just to get everybody flowing in the same direction was pretty big, and I feel like the captains and ourselves, the best players on the team, like Coach talks about, and the senior leaders, we've done a good job getting everybody to kind of buy into the philosophy, into the culture. And it's been really big for us to have, guys that have the experience of being in the playoffs, going through all these winning seasons, to kind of get these young guys to see, okay, they've done it multiple times. They know what they're talking about. They know what we need to do to get it done, so let's follow them. And they give it credit to them. They've done a great job stepping up. All of the young guys who on the team, they did a great job of stepping up. And we're playing some of our best football right now. We wouldn't be there without the young guys that have stepped into places and playing roles that they have never played before. So I feel like as far as getting everybody on the same page, that's been the biggest thing for us as a leadership core for the team.
What's your leadership style been? Is it more of leading on example on the field, or do you get vocal at times where you talk to the guys and explain to them what needs to go down?
I definitely, me personally, I'm a little more vocal than Coach Moorhead would actually like. He wants us to lead by example first. So, I mean, I'm going to go out there and give my best effort all the time. So I play really hard, and I pride myself on playing really hard all the time. And but there comes a time where you got to, like, talk to guys and you got to sit them down and let them know, like, this is what we got to do. This is the way we got to do it. But I feel like having a perfect blend of leading by example and leading vocally is what gets the job best done.
That's Inside the Huddle with two of the key players from this week's win over Bucknell, linebacker George Dawson, receiver Jonathan Lumley. Guys, thanks so much for the time. Good luck next week against Georgetown.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
And now let's take a look ahead to the Georgetown game. We'll bring back in Fordham football head coach Joe Moorhead. All right, Coach, we're down to the very last game of the regular season, the Georgetown game. Coming in, Georgetown, we weren't sure what kind of year they were going to have. They had some success early on, and then with a lot of teams in the Patriot League, we've seen some parity. That each team is, no team's too far ahead in the records at this point, even at the end of the season. What have you seen in the Hoyas that maybe was a little bit better than some people expected coming into this season?
No, I think they're a much improved team. I was with Coach Scarlotta at Georgetown. We were both assistants there, and he graduated in, I believe, '93 and has never left his, gone through the the ranks there and climbed the ladder to become head coach, and he's done a great job recruiting. He's done a great job, getting those guys, and they're the one team in the league that doesn't give athletic scholarships, so he's really fighting his tail off and doing a very good job. And I think they've simplified and done some things offensively to make them more effective than last year, and defensively they have some good playmakers and beat some quality teams this year. So they're certainly a team that's on the rise.
Coach, they are on the rise. What athletes or players concern you the most when you study them?
Offensively, the quarterback, Kyle Nolan, is much improved. He's done a very good job this year. Joel Campella, the running back, I think is definitely their best playmaker. And then number 5 and number 27 are the two receivers. Defensively, Matt Satchel, the will linebacker, I believe is their leading tackler, does a great job there. Up front, number 1, the kid from Bergen Catholic, his name escapes me right now. He's a real active guy in the front. And then number 17, the boundary corner, is the guy that stands out the most for him.
Getting to this last game of the season, it is on the road. What do you thought about how your team has performed going on the road this season, coming off that last game at Colgate, your last road game, which was the first Patriots loss?
Yeah, we've obviously had better success at home than we've had on the road over the past few years, but it's we're not going to approach it any differently. It's a noon start, so we'll be getting up a little bit earlier on Saturday, staying close to the campus, right across the Key Bridge there. And, we're going to have to go get after it. And, there's a bunch of mitigating circumstances that, you can point to and say that it's going to make a difference, but we can't worry about any of that stuff, not make any excuses, and understand that we're playing one game to extend our season. And that's the way we've got to approach it.
If given the opportunity with possessing a big lead, will your play calling reflect that you want to leave no doubt for an at-large bid?
Yeah, I don't necessarily. We want to win the game, and if we get to that situation, it'll. I don't think we need to win by any particular margin. I think a win's a win, and like I said, when you look at our body of work and what we've done, beating an FBS team, losing to Villanova by 7 when they were ranked second, and losing to Colgate by 2. If we're fortunate enough to finish 9-2, I think our body of work stands on its own, regardless of what the potential margin of victory would be in this game.
The season is certainly far from over. You still have this game coming up against Georgetown, and then we'll see what happens with the FCS playoff scenario and the Patriot League championship scenario.
If we win the game, we expect to be in the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the way we're approaching this thing. So whether it's as a Patriot League champion or as an all-large bid, our expectation is if we win this game, we're going to be somewhere in the playoffs.
So as a team that you are confident could be heading to the playoffs as long as you take care of business this week, what are the things that you believe have gotten you to this point with one game left that confident?
I think our kids have done a tremendous job this year, understanding what the composition of our team is with 18 new starters and not looking at anything to make excuses, figuring out solutions instead of figuring out excuses. And from, game one going into an FBS stadium and beating Army and, just going from there, and a ton of close games against good teams. And you look back and, see the teams we won games against. You got Penn, you got Monmouth, you got Columbia, who's improved, Lehigh now above 500. I mean, we won games against some very good football teams who've, steadily improved their level of play throughout the season. So I just like the fact that our guys have, when it came down to make a play and we needed to win the football game, a very young team found a way to get it done.
Is there one word you could use to describe them?
Resilient. Yeah.
Is that something you saw about this group coming in, or is that something you had to learn along the way?
I think they developed it. I think with so many new faces, I think it would be, remiss to say that, we could have predicted this was going to occur. We wanted it to happen, but until these guys, get out on the field and, start practicing and, doing the things that are necessary and I guess, forming their own identity, which they've done. I don't know that you could have said you were 100% certain it was going to occur, but you felt good because of the foundation of the program and the culture we developed here that there was a pretty good chance it was going to happen.
Your 4 captains this year, Kevin Anderson, Garrick Mayweather, Stephen Hodge, and George Dawson. What have they done throughout this year to make sure that those underclassmen start to develop like that and just the entire team in general develops that resiliency?
They've been a steadying influence that have led by example first and vocally second. And that's what we told the new guys in our first team meeting, that you're not coming in here and changing our culture, that you're going to assimilate into our culture. And I think those captains, our seniors, our leaders, have been a great example of our guys of what it takes to be a successful Division I football program by how you prepare, how hard you play, and how well you execute.
I think lastly, just on the field against the Hoyas, what are the keys to a victory this week against Georgetown?
You probably get sick of hearing me say this.
I keep asking.
No, it's not canned. I promise you that. And it does matter. I mean, it's tried and true. And you look at any football game, it's going to be, explosive plays and turnovers, third down and red zone and special teams. And anything else is it's just, you talk about motivation, you talk about how hard you play and all those things. But when it comes down to the tangible, objective football aspect of it, those are the criteria that usually determines the outcome of a game.
It may be the same answer, but I'm going to keep asking it.
That's okay. Go ahead. No problem.
Fordham football head coach Joe Moorhead ahead of the season's final regular season game down in Washington, D.C. against Georgetown. Coach, thanks again for coming on.
Always a pleasure, fellas.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, time to wrap things up with our final thoughts here on Monday Night Quarterback. Kristian, we're down to one final regular season game remaining. Fordham goes to Georgetown for a noon start on Saturday in Washington, D.C. What have your thoughts? We've seen a lot of Fordham football this season, you and I. What have your thoughts been on the season so far and what Fordham has done to get to this point with so many new faces, so much uncertainty coming into the season? What have your thoughts been so far about the 2015 year?
Well, Matt, they've been a resilient group. Things haven't always gone their way, but they found a way to win, when they've needed to answer the bell for the most part here. And I think that's what championship teams do. I think that a lot of what their MO is about is, finding ways to win and look, not making excuses and so what is kind of, a motto of the team. So, when you're presented with a circumstance of adversity, how do you respond to it? And I think that's stems down from Coach Moorhead all the way down to his players, and I think they've done a good job, personifying that by their play on the field. So, look, huge win over Bucknell this past weekend and control what you can control. A win at Georgetown here this Saturday at noon will almost certainly put them into a situation where they can claim the at-large bid for an FCS playoff berth.
Fordham does not control their own destiny for the Patriot League title, but as Coach Moorhead and Kristian just reiterated, the team just looking to control what they can control. One final regular season game remaining this Saturday noon against Georgetown. That'll be the final regular season game for the Fordham football Rams. And that's going to do it for this week's edition of Monday Night Quarterback. Thanks to head coach Joe Moorhead, co-defensive coordinator, defensive backs coach Tim Cary, linebacker George Dawson, and wide receiver Jonathan Lumley. Next Monday, another edition of Monday Night Quarterback live from Applebee's. We'll look back to the Georgetown game. We'll have our X's Own segment with one of the coaches and go inside the huddle with some of the key players with the matchup against the Hoyas. Don't forget to tune in to WFUV's coverage of Fordham football as the Rams take on Georgetown this Saturday. Kickoff set for 12 noon, not the usual one, so 1 hour earlier. We'll start with the one-on-one pregame report live at 11:50 on 90.7 FM, WFUV.org, and WFUVSports.org. Until then, for Kristian O'Hara, producer Brendan Bowers, engineer Sean Hayner, this is Matt Morrow. Have a great week, everybody. Monday Night Quarterback is a presentation of WFUV Sports.